what you're able to do amazes me, and it totally turns me on to you even more. And for you, you're like, but my body
is not a wonderland.
Feeling that vixen. Yeah. There's a new stretch mark that is starting from the ankle until the neck. You know, so there's all these things about your body that are in no way appealing sexually. Beth, I want to know for you what it was like. Okay, so you, during your pregnancy, sex was okay. It might not have been the best, but you were serviced fine.
Yes.
So coming back now, postpartum, are you still energized?
Hey, for the first one especially, it was a definite no. I think that one, because I was introduced to a new person.
Yeah.
I was no longer that sexy person. Now I was a cow. Yeah, it was just my job to produce milk. I smelled like milk all of the time, and sometimes poop, sometimes vomit also. It just not a sexy creature in that moment. Yeah, so after, it was a struggle for quite a while, I think months. So even when it would happen, it would not be my initiative. It took a lot of convincing, and I remember we'd have a lot of conversations about trying to get out of the house if this was going to go down. Yeah, because I'm like, here in this space, child crying in the corner over there. It's not an exciting space. It's not a whatever. It's a mama somebody, you know, and mama somebody is not a sex goddess. In a better manner. Exactly. And we're just divided. Scarf. Yes, and sengengeni, you know, those t-shirts. Yeah. So it took quite a while and a lot of conversations and I think that it helped to have those conversations because he was really interested in, okay, so why? Just talk to me. Let's talk about it. What's going to help? How does this feel? What's working? What's not working? And so on. So really, by the actually finding a time to go outside of the house, you know, an Airbnb or a hotel room or something made a big difference. Yeah. And my mom came through a lot in those days because I was also afraid to leave the baby.
She know
where you're going.
No. Those are not details you share with your mom. Forward this episode. But those are not details that we discuss, right? So, but from early on, I think one of the first times I would leave the baby with her, it was maybe at like 2 months or something, like really early on, just go take the baby, express milk, go with a bottle, leave, and then actually have the time. And it was not for sexy fun times only. It was actually just to be separate and to discover, I'm still a human being, not just a pair of boobs, you know? So those progressively helped for me to rediscover who I am, for us even to rediscover a relationship that was not just mama so-and-so, yes, baba so-and-so, you know? Yeah, but it took some time.
Yeah.
It took some time, The subsequent pregnancies were easier, or rather subsequent post-pregnancies were easier, but that first one, I remember it was quite rough. The smell, that's the one that just used, you know, that spit up smell, even when you're clean, it just stays with you. You just feel like it's a new aroma, a new scent that you have just acquired. Yeah. And then when you're doing that, and last night the baby projectile vomited all over you, it's like, what do you mean? Just leave me alone, please. Just grovel in the dirt over here where I belong, like a pig.
It's interesting because I think for the guy, and I'm making a lot of assumptions, there's a part of him that is really impressed by your capabilities as a mom, and that kind of turns him on, I think. I am
call them to actually tell us.
Yeah, the guy's perspective.
I have decided that this is what he's thinking. So there's a part of him, and I think this is what Ted was communicating. He's like, what you're able to do amazes me, and it totally turns me on to you even more. And for you, you're like, but my body is
not a wonderland.
Feeling that vixen. Yeah. There's a new stretch mark that is starting from the ankle until the neck. You know, so there's all these things about your body that are in no way appealing sexually. So you are trying to hide and cover, and for him, it's just like, me, you're still that chick for me. And it's such a weird place to be at, because there's a part of you that's like, I'm still attractive. But also he's just saying.
Yes.
He's just saying because he wants some of this.
So when I look at myself in the mirror,
there's absolutely no way this at the moment is looking like
wants to be touched by anything. So it's really an interesting place. And then I think also for me, the other fear that I had, which was always funny, was being caught by the kids.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
They open the door and find us.
Yeah.
Oh, this is much later now. Okay.
Even when they were crawling or something, like she was saying, imagine the baby is in the crib, yeah? And then if that baby wakes up and sees
Will they
y'all,
be scarred for life?
that thing used to... For me, it was just like a mood killer. It's like, let the baby be dead asleep, like dead.
Yeah.
We move it, we put it in the sitting room, and then maybe. I had this,
But
it
then
was
for
some
us, I think it was
paranoia.
the longest time when the kids now had started crawling or whatever, if there was one. Because at any given time, I think us have stayed dusty in the rooms for a while. But like it had become like the other parts of the house had become more of the, like the room was no longer our space.
Yeah.
It had become, it would be the
Sitting
bathroom,
room,
it would be the sitting room. But even there could be the house. You could wake up to get water in the middle. Like it's like an obstacle case. It's like, you know. So it's just there where we won't get into, it's the excitement.
Yeah.
So
Of
it's
being
like,
caught.
but what's our exit plan if let's jump into the laundry room? You know?
Yeah.
So, but I feel like it depends also on how fun you make it. But now I guess as the kids grow older, it's also harder to get as creative in the house as you would in the past of
Yeah.
like, you know, it guy anywhere, anyhow.
Anyhow.
Now you're restricted to it's your house, but they are tenants, and so you know,
And it's
be
for
mindful.
chap-chap.
Because it might
And
be
noise.
the moment
You
when
cannot
you're just
release.
in the height of it, then you hear "Mom!"
And that has happened. You're like, we are coming.
Oh,
Yeah.
the door just opens.
want to
they're not
sleep in
even
your
announcing.
Me, I've had them at the door. Mom, mom. And you're like,
You're just like, Father God, it had to be
okay, I'm
right
coming.
now.
I'm coming in all directions, but just wait. Your father and I are having
A
conference.
serious meeting.
Strong discussion. But yeah, it's really nice. And this is now the much later, right? How do you maintain that intimacy with your partner? Given now you're parents of many people, you have multiple responsibilities. You know how you always told you're thinking about, okay, then after this I have to do X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
Your laundry list is going through your mind. So how do you remain present? Because I think the challenge for me is always thinking that sex must be enjoyable. Otherwise, there's no point. If we are not both like chandelier level, then listen,
What
let's
are we
not
doing?
waste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But is that even practical?
It's not practical
really
because now
isn't.
even I've gotten to the place where I tell him, let's just make an appointment
Oh, let me tell
for
you,
sexy time.
the
And
truth
he
of-
hates it. He's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
it's not
Let's be
spontaneous.
Yeah.
Like, do you need service or no?
Yeah, I know.
This is the only way
This is the only
happening.
window between this Zoom call and this Zoom call.
Just be ready.
and
warm
listen,
the engine. I'm coming.
I have 2 Zoom calls now and now. So what do you want? Yeah. Align yourself.
Yeah.
And now he's that guy of no, let's lower the lights. And
Oh,
the drapes and the floral arrange are like, boss. If I put this leg up
like cue some sound
and you're not
sound,
around,
like-
I'm not coming back here.
But
So
but you know the interesting thing is that it's such a, it's like the ebbs and flows of it, because there are times when things go like the stars align and that season everything is aligning so well, and then
Yeah.
they're like, and it's in so many stages, it's amazing because it's in the maybe the multiple kids, you've just gotten your groove and then you're back to being pregnant. It's like that kayoyo effect.
Yeah.
But beyond that, there's like now like I feel like the stage we're in is in that like we're in operations and the fight for our lives in operations, because I mean, you're like between, you know, you have number one who's in, you know, primary school. There's this long list of things you need to put up in the calendar and miss nothing in all the things they do plus homework. Then there's the other one who's in, you know, this class, and even her, she's in nursery school. It's doing the most. You have assignments, parade, all those things to attend to.
Yeah.
Keep all those timetables in your mind. Pickups, drop-offs, work, deadlines,
Illnesses.
whatever, illnesses,
Yeah.
hospital, this other baby, the housey, the managing of the you know,
Yeah.
like there's so much in terms of logistics. And then like your weekdays are full enough.
Yeah.
Okay, morning till evening. You're barely making to evening. Like you're feeling
Yeah.
like there's more hours in the day than that, you know.
Yeah.
We need more hours in the day than 24 because we're not able to do
can't do
everything. You're
everything.
so spent.
Yeah.
And you're right back at it. So in this treadmill of constantly moving. And then on top of all that, as if you're still members of society. So on the weekends when you're thinking it's when you'll rest is when so-and-so has a birthday. There's this family function you can't miss. So literally, your time is filled up like Sunday to Sunday. No matter how much you try to free it up. So it's gotten to that point where, I mean, who at the end of that whole day, and there's like a bunch of things that will happen, is ready to be like, absolutely not. Guys are rolling in for, oh, you had a good day? Yeah, good night.
High five each
You
other.
know, you're like,
And then go to bed.
well, you know, and then the meetings you're having, even though it's like, even if it's date night, it's hard to not veer to, hey, but then who's picking up? Who's
Yeah.
hey, yeah, you were. I did the last assembly. You know, by the time you're getting all those things in a row, there's immunizations for Nani. Damn it, we missed it. You know.
Yeah.
So your tag your it. You know me. My week is looking sharp. Whip out calendars. So honestly, I think we're at that point where
You have
if
to
we
schedule.
if you don't schedule it, it's if it's not in the calendar, it's not happening.
Yeah.
Honestly, so that even me mentally, we need to prepare that Saturday. I won't take any meetings beyond 6 p.m.
Yes.
Because also the energy needs to be, I mean,
Yeah.
if we need to ashwagandha this or
Yeah.
we need to, I mean, we have to do some press-ups mentally
Yeah.
to be ready in that space, get the kids ready. Like even that's a logistical because like if it's movie night, these babes need to be in bed by 9. Everybody
So that-
lights out so that then we can maybe cue a movie, try and get a bit, you know, that's if you're lucky enough to get there. But like, honestly,
Yeah.
I'm like, if it's not in the calendar,
Yeah.
we're in the season of it's not.
Yeah.
You know, me, if you put it in the calendar, it's definitely not happening. If both of us are like, this is the moment tomorrow at this time that it has to happen.
No, it's not
But
like that.
But it's not like that. It doesn't stop the other moments from happening.
Yeah.
But it's just the
day.
And it doesn't stop. It doesn't
even
mean
then
that,
we don't I think what has worked for us is like for me I would be okay with this is the day and it's going to happen and whatever, but he can't know that. He likes the spontaneity. So how it has worked for us is both of us are like, okay, tomorrow it can happen. So if you're the one who's feeling like tomorrow is the day, then you do the prep work. Okay, so tomorrow you are like, he understands that for me, I have to be out of that space of motherhood and whatever, like the vibes have to be right. Let's go out for dinner, let's do whatever and so on and so forth. So he will help in that way. So on that night, he'll be like, yeah, let's go for a movie, let's do dinner, let's whatever. He'll make sure the kids are in bed early, like all of those things will happen. That way, it has freed up my mental load and I'm actually prepared for it. Vice versa works also. So if for me, I'm feeling like tonight would be a good night, then I prepare mapema and I do all of that stuff. But we have not synced. We have not spoken and agreed. Yeah, because then it's
because
definitely...
I know. I think for me, what has changed and for the better was I stopped making it had to be a night thing. Like sex must happen at night in the bed
Yes.
when everything is done.
Yeah.
So what has really helped, because again, I think his drive was always much higher than mine. And to match it, I had to be willing to relax. The rigidity of it has to be in the bedroom. Missionary is the only way. Although missionary really is the only way.
Missionary.
Please,
As much as people
Argue
want
with
to hate.
your
I mean, you can
mother.
go around and end. You're
You
still
will
gonna
come
end
But
up
back.
still, it's a sure...
it is a sure bet.
Yeah.
But for me, what has worked is just like, do you have 5 minutes? Just help me with this. And it is superb because the mission is clear.
We got our goal.
Yeah. and I think for me, that really opened up my interest, right? And because I was just like, it's quick. Then I have some time between this and this. The house she's going to get sugar. So if you just...
No, that's, I guess,
If
the
we just...
spontaneity is
Yeah. But and also in between the planning. So there are days where you want to go all out and prepare and romance each other. And I think there's still a place for that.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really important to hold those days. But I also know if I'm always waiting for the romance,
It might...
Oh, yeah, it's
might
not,
happen.
yeah.
it will be many weeks.
Yeah.
So sometimes they're like, you are awake. All right, let me just... Okay?
One moment.
Shwa!
Brush my
And
teeth.
you're like,
Yeah.
have a nice day.
Yeah, it's been real.
thank the Lord for this day. So that has really helped in relaxing. Doesn't mean that we don't have droughts, because there's also times where you're just like, yeah,
nobody is in the space.
I just make you a sandwich.
Will that meet your needs? Is that enough?
But it's
Can I
true.
just order
There's points
you?
where it's true. There's points where it's the acts of service hits the spot
Yeah.
more than the
Yeah.
and then it's interesting that it's mutual at
Yeah.
that stage for like, Bana, thank you for making me this car. You know, it's like, okay, I'm at that car phone call for, it's okay. I'll do the pickups and drop-offs. Mom.
Yeah, because there are times also, as much as you love your person, you're just like,
There's
"Okay,
times
see-
when it will be crickets.
see, we
And then
just
there's
pity
season-
her.
Yeah, and then there's seasons. It's just there, you're in there. Wait, see, this weekend they can't just go to Shags as we go. Say less. Say less. Say less.
Yeah. But I think also what helped me also relax was going on contraceptive. And the method I used is permanent. And that also released this fear of
Yeah.
it increased my enjoyment because I was like, whatever.
You're no longer
is
worried.
free, I'm not
Free
Yeah.
flowing.
Yeah.
Yes.
So and again, because in between the babies, there was always that fear of you guys will get pregnant. So I was always like, I would time like not this week, not this week is very bad.
Just no.
And we don't have enough savings. So
Can't afford another.
we cannot afford. So let's shake hands on it. I'll make you a really nice sandwich and
I have a question. So what's your take on, like, because there are times for people it can get, and I mean, we still have a long way to go in our marriages, right?
yeah.
So at what point would you cue in if things are not working out, like the option of a sex therapist? How open would even you be open to it?
So you've come with so much violence. You can't just write a post-it note.
Just SMS.
It was not coming. Would you? I guess the question first. Now, step number one, you individually, would you?
Yeah. I think for me, I'm really lucky because Ted likes talking, which is so peculiar. I don't know a guy who likes, let's get to the bottom.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
He loves that kind of thing. So it's an easy conversation to have because he's always willing. Even if it's a difficult one, he's open to that. So we are both resistant with therapists. We know ourselves. My personality is not one to go to someone else. It's like, let's menyana here. If we're unable, then perhaps we could talk about it. And he's always been the one who has broached the sex subject easily. He's like, I'm not getting enough. Or I'm getting too much. Or whatever the issue is, he's the one who initiates it.
Yeah.
So I don't feel that there would be a time when we need to see someone else unless really we are unable to resolve that issue.
I think I could have appreciated it that first time around. Yeah. I think it would have been helpful for someone to help me externalize what is wrong. Because it's not that I understood. I was just feeling yuck, So even these suggestions of let's go outside of the house, let's do something else different. Let's not make this an objective and therefore we feel like we failed because we were unable to get intimate. Having someone else that I could talk to about it and would help us work through it, I think I would probably have appreciated it at that point. I think it would have helped. Yeah. But I think later on, being able to talk about it together as well, because now we've grown in our marriage and in our relationship. So now being able to be open about that definitely eased the way and we're able to get past it. Like if we have any struggles, even just getting more open-minded about what does it mean, because what is the goal for you might not be the goal for me. Me, I'm good with a nice back rub sometimes. Yeah, just a cuddle is okay for me, but yeah, it doesn't mean that this was a failure, like because we didn't reach the destination for me, like it was a problem. So being able to talk about stuff like that, I guess is what I assume a therapist would have helped us with, and we didn't have that at the beginning.
Yeah, because I feel like with life changing, and because we're definitely not the same people that started this journey, who he is and who I am, we've evolved over time and we'll keep evolving over time. And I think more and more as you listen to stories of people separating, people, most times when you hear it, a lot of it could be a financial thing that starts or something you're strained on this end. And the first immediate thing to be affected is your sex life. And I think it's the fear or not the fear, or just I think it's being alive to the fact that it's a possibility. And the longer you get married, you're married to each other, the easier it is, especially with things changing or whatever. If you're not staying in tune or constantly working on your marriage, in terms of like having, I feel so much value in the fact that we have always had we had one-on-one couples therapy from the very beginning as we started through walking our journey towards marriage. And then we continued with them, and we've continued with them to date. So then it helps you guys to keep navigating things. And I've seen the value in that, because it really keeps, when you're doing premarital before, there's a lot of those things that guys can never be there. And then you find yourselves there. And then now you come back for, actually we learned this thing. But I feel the same way more and more with time, and not to mean that we're having a problem with our sexual life, but it's just to also be alive to the fact that even in the future, there might be more work to be put into it, because you do realize sometimes where people are getting into their retirement ages or whatever, and it's like people are sleeping in separate rooms. These things exist. You've seen them with maybe your parents, your grandparents, or cousins, or uncles, or whatever it is. So it's how do you keep the flame? How do you keep the flame going? And I feel that in that sense, I would not be averse to then kind of plugging into it and just being like, let's rediscover our bodies together again in this. Yeah,
because you hear about sexless marriages, and
it doesn't just start at tea. It's one day.
It's one day. It's months.
Years, and
And for me, it just seems, the hardest thing for me, and I'm not. I give off this impression that I'm a sexual goddess. I am quite the prude. Like I told you, missionary, lights off, blindfolds, don't look anywhere, and silence. Shh. But I think the hardest thing for me has been when I reach out, I want the intimacy, and he's like, not today. And I'm like, homeboy, do you know how far I've walked in this desert looking for this water? And you have said no. And it shuts me down completely. And it just sends me back to that place of, you see, you're not the one who's supposed to be doing these things. So the idea of a sexless marriage, because I think I was there, and I think postpartum, that was the thing that I was carrying. And it just snowballed and became this thing where we were just like, you're good. So I know that it can happen, and it's sad, because you see what it does to the other person. They feel rejected, and even when the other person is not deliberately trying, is not rejecting, there's something going on internally with them, right? But the one who is on the other side just sees it as rejection. You don't want me, and I think in a moment like that, then it definitely makes sense to get help. Especially if you want to save your marriage, because that sex is a foundation of marriage, and I learned that from my cousin, who, for her, she says we have sex 3 times a week, rain or shine, whether we are happy, we are not. It's on the to-do list, and you kind of have to learn that part of you're not always going to be interested, but this is for your partner, it's for your spouse. It is. It's not only for you. And when you're into it, sometimes they need it more than you do.
And not even, and yes, but in addition to that, I think it's also the staying connected, because sometimes it's easy to just always slip away and get into the comfort of not doing something. But even for you, I feel like sometimes it's almost like if it keeps happening, it might keep you in tune with this person, because it's so easy. There's just something connecting about just the sexual relationship that does bind you. So you might have done it thinking, it's for Nani, but there's also a security in knowing there's some security in the two of you in knowing that you're still committed into this and in this, and just keeping that flow going. It's just the same way as keep talking even though you don't feel like talking. Keep working on your finances even though things are not looking. It's honestly, I feel like sometimes we tend to separate and put like a demarcation on sex life versus all the other things you need to keep doing. And the reality of the matter is, if in fact our counselor always says, the first thing when people go to see him, the first thing he asks is, how is your sex life? Because it's a reflection of everything else that's happening.
Just grab your wallet and you're like,
that's happening in your. So if there's one thing you do need to prioritize,
it is that.
It is that. It's the easiest thing that can easily go haywire, and you just end up being tits up would be. and in the end, you're just married to your strategic partner. It's true. You're just doing strategy and logistics.
The accountant.
Yeah.
He has his enthusiasm of your accountant. Yeah, it's true. It's an important thing to really work on, be deliberate about. And I know as women, we talk about it like we're usually not honest about the struggle. And I don't know if men talk to each other about their sexual struggles, but I see it when you see men's discussions. They're like, the woman must give you sex and you must demand it. Obviously, it's not in a violent way, but you must prioritize it as a guy.
Yeah.
And because once that goes away, then...
But and it has something to do with like the way men are made up as well, and versus us guys, right? Because for guys, again, not a medical professional, so but the connection happens after. Like if you're having sex on the regular, that intimacy allows now for a deeper, let's say, a conversation afterwards. Like there's a connection that happens after. But for us, if you're good, if you're fine, then you can have sex.
Oh yeah,
right? Yeah. So it's that conflict sometimes is what makes it hard. Because unless you're in the same space, like if you've had a fight, dude is like, let's bang it out and then let's bang it out,
Yeah.
I'm like, no, just
doesn't
chill.
work like that.
I'm not your friend right now.
Still not
Don't
feeling
even
you
touch
like
me,
that,
don't talk to me.
But that remember, is the time to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah, because it resolves.
Yeah.
But I think that's the reason now, that conversation you're talking about where guys are like, it's your right, you have to demand it and whatever. And the chick is like, we're not fine, so what are we doing here? And yet, if you could find a way to open yourself up to it, you might find that it eases the road.
It
But
resolves.
I also, allow me to throw a spanner in the works, is that there's also this stereotype that men are always ready, always willing, always whatever, they're ready to be jumped, they're ready to be whatever. But that's not always the case, because even men go through a lot of yo-yos in there. And the worst part is that, you see, for us women, you can say, I was the vixen at this point, or I was not feeling it at this point. And it's almost okay for women to feel that way about sex, and it's acceptable. But it's not acceptable when the man is like, hey, it will be a thing for, ulianza kuamka tena, are you still, when you're not handling your business, it's like their manhood is really linked to
it. Is
so you'll find it hard for a guy to go and actually open up to his guy for I've not been feeling like I want to. And I've been feeling this way for a long time. So at that point, where is this guy going to? Because now he's already feeling like a failure to you in the room. And so it's going to be hard for him to discuss it with you and hard for you to discuss it with his guys.
With anyone.
So leave alone therapy.
So and then now you add I think we should see a therapist. Kwisha, he's like, in fact, the wedding, the marriage, talak has been announced, So how do we also reduce what I feel like there's so many things around men discussions and in so many ways that need to just be talked about a lot more to just open up this field, to just be like, imagine it's okay that the assistants, like even as you'll feel, menopause happens, you'll be this way. Men also men also go through those things. If they're not financially secure, it's not going to happen. If he's not feeling that he's not going to be there ready to be jumping, he's fighting with his ego, and it's affecting his at this point. So and at that point, maybe you're the one who's the vixen, and him is like, and you're the one who's facing the rejection. So in this case, I really, my prayer is always like, can we normalize therapy? There's a reason why there's different therapists for different things. Imagine God created them for them. That's why there's professions. They created them for this help. So I'm like, imagine, let's not be shy. Dudes, chicks, there's nothing to be ashamed about. Everybody goes through the highs and lows of it, and sometimes there's no duration. It's how do you seek help?
I think get help where you can and with who you can, and it might not be a licensed therapist. It could be, like you're saying, your pastor, whoever you think that you can have this conversation with, to bring you to that place where you trying to understand, because I think we make a lot of fun about sex, usually raunchy discussions about it, but we don't really discuss what it means, that connection, the intimacy, what it does for you, whether you're having it or not. There's a because it's an important part of our humanity, right? And so when you get to be parents, they caution you that is one of the things that goes real quick, real fast. And as parents, you have to be really deliberate about making time for your partner, your spouse, because if you're the reason why they are kids, right?
And eventually they leave.
And they leave. And then you
guys will just be left there for.
Yeah.
And if you broke away from each other a long time ago, it becomes really hard.
It's hard to start reconciling that
exactly.
many years later.
Yeah.
So it's a conversation that you should have deliberately and say, where are you? Are your needs being met? And are you meeting mine? And be ready to hear what is... Because even if you go to the therapist, that is what you'll discuss, right? So are you ready to hear that perhaps you're not...
Yeah, it's true.
This singing
nowadays you just lie in missionary and that's it. You know what happened to...
Yeah.
But and I feel like, honestly, sex needs to be part of the agenda in your weekly strategy meeting or in your weekly day.
Yeah, honestly, I
it
agree
needs
with
to
her.
be. It needs to be
'Cause some of
top
us
of
won't
that
have it.
agenda.
Yeah.
It needs to be top of that agenda as you're discussing pickups, drop-offs, payoffs, bills.
Whatever.
That you must discuss. It needs to be on the table all the time.
And also as mothers, we need to show up like we did before we were mothers.
Yeah.
Because I think we really just let
Then
ourselves...
have you ever seen the reel for the evolution of sleeping gear for women? When you were single, when you were then you became a mother. It's those ones with two laces at the top and bottom, and like a stocking.
Yeah. I think we don't put the same effort, and it would help if we did. Even for the way we feel about ourselves. So taking care of your physical appearance, if it is working out so that you can, keep things together.
Keep
smelling
doing your
good,
nails,
getting
doing
your hair.
Yeah. Those
like,
things keep you
remain attractive for your husband.
And it doesn't even have to be. Honestly, actually, I am more of I think keep doing, because by the time you are single, you did these things to look good for yourself. I think that self-esteem is so important, and that's probably what attracted them to you in the first place. I think we have a tendency to really neglect ourselves, and even men, during this process. It's the keep up with those things. If you used to be a babe who used to do your nails, do them. If you used to be a babe, mtakula, in fact, start growing bogas if that's the reason why
you can't
start
afford.
growing them in your yard so that then you can free up some money.
Yeah.
Secure those things that remain. It's those things that will ground you as you lose. Sometimes you can tend to lose yourself in all these changes.
Yeah.
Do those things that make you happy. Keep doing them. Yeah.
I hope we're taking notes though. Like when the ninja dads come, these are some of the things like I'd love to hear their perspective.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How
When
did they find
there
it?
was a time
We've
this
really
babe
theorized
stopped,
about
I
this is
know,
what
yeah.
men feel. But they can come and tell them.
Honestly,
They can come and tell us.
Come and tell us. And even the men who will be listening to this podcast, please go on to Ninja Parenting KE on Instagram, Ninja Parenting on Twitter and on Facebook. Please just put in your comments
and
tell
questions.
us even what you'd like us to discuss a bit more. If you want us to take a deeper delve into some of the topics, please. If you'd like us to call in an expert for some of those, please
sexpert.
give us sexpert or expert for any of the other conversations we've had. Please just plug us, man. Your feedback means everything to us. Yeah.
Sawa.
Yeah, this one was a saucy topic.
Fun. It ran deep.
It went deep. It went to
does.
some depth. I've looked at you guys like, why? Sidebar. Pro tip.
Bombastic side eye.
Yes.
Well, now you can't go anywhere. After we've revealed such things about ourselves, we must be friends for life.
For life.
Yeah.
And dear husbands, we love you. We really hope we've not.
Never. This is for the good of the bomber.
It's true.
Yeah. We are saving our bombers by having this discussion.
Another bombers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
That was fun.
Thank you all. See you next time.
See you next time. This was Ninja Parenting.